Y'all know about taxes, right? Well, it's a topic that mostly no one enjoys. That is, if you aren't the government. But taxes are what creates today's nation. Around when the Revolutionary War happened, the British government imposed taxes that the Americans did not like. So what do? That's right, revolution. America then won the war, but had to pay somehow. So why not taxes? So a little bit down a bumpy road, America begins their own taxes. Just because a law is created does not mean that everyone will follow them. For taxes, there is no exception. Lying about your taxes in general is called tax fraud. Tax fraud does not directly mean tax evasion, as tax evasion is a type of tax fraud. Tax fraud is when your tax document is falsified, and tax evasion is when you avoid paying your taxes. There are many people in history who have committed tax fraud. One example from the 1930s is a person named Al Capone. He was involved with many crimes, but there's one event that got him in trouble. And that was the time that the IRS found evidence of tax evasion. Tax fraud can be found in people that you wouldn't expect. A recent example of this can be seen with Donald Trump. He got caught claiming his property more than it was worth. And this is an example on putting false information on a tax form. Another example can be found. What's up guys, welcome to my presentation. In today's so-called lesson, you may learn about one thing about tax fraud. Like I said earlier, tax fraud is real. People do use taxes. Anyways, let's get to the presentation. What is tax fraud? Tax fraud is a more broad term. Tax fraud is any way to falsify your tax report to the government. This may include tax evasion, not the same like tax fraud, lying on documents or just not doing them. These can lead to jail time or fines if caught. The IRS oversees taxes. Tax fraud history. In the late 1700s, America fought in the Revolutionary War. A major cause of the war is because of taxes. The British government imposed high taxes without representation, which led to the Revolutionary War. After the war ended, the soldiers needed to be paid, and the government needed money. However, the new Articles of Confederation were put into place and limits the government so much that they could not collect taxes, only request them from the states. After a little while of arguing, the Constitution was drafted and the government could collect taxes. The IRS was created to oversee taxes. In the 1930s, crime rate was on the rise and it became common and loopholes were found. Wealthy are known today for using those loopholes. How to commit tax fraud. Many people have committed tax fraud. Tax fraud is a very popular hobby of many criminals. Here are some ways to do it. Underreporting income, falsifying documents, concealing assets, identity theft, pyramid schemes. Now this one's a bit questionable, because why don't you just use triangle schemes? There's no law against that. We also have tax shelters and also employment fraud. Here we have some famous tax evaders. Definitely spelled that one wrong. One famous one is Al Capone, Illinois. How he didn't pay his taxes, that's very simple. Another example, Donald J. Trump. He lives in New York, and he got caught because he claimed his property was worth more than it was actually. Alright, there you go. There's my presentation. Hopefully you all enjoyed. I'll try better next time.